Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woohoo!
Woohoo, is that how we open? That's our opening.
That's our opening now.
Just because we hear it? On
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm back after taking last Wednesday off.
Yes, we missed you.
Yeah, my daughter had her big senior night at the MOA Academy up in north end of Fort Pierce.
I saw some stuff on Facebook. That was awesome.
Yep, pretty good.
So she is
well done,
officially
Dad.
on to the next phase of her life.
Her graduation was yesterday morning, or 12:30 yesterday afternoon. So,
Right.
But yeah, she's off and officially graduated from high school, and is going to be attending the Florida Gulf Coast University over in Fort Myers in the fall. So
Gotcha. So get her over there for that.
congratulations to my daughter and a whole bunch of her friends. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
And shockingly, I did not cry, and
You thought you were going to cry?
that's unusual for me. Yeah,
Emotional, like your little girl?
yeah, I'm a pretty emotional guy when it comes to that stuff.
Aw,
Yeah.
that's cute.
Well, good deal.
So yeah, it was nice. Graduated with high honors. So
Got some stuff.
Excellent.
Keep her moving in the right direction.
yeah, that's the key. But yeah, so I guess a lot of thankfully they moved. They got smart, I guess, or I don't know. They moved They used to have the graduation out at the fairgrounds, and thank God, with all the rain and everything else, I can just imagine
God.
trudging in from the
Lord.
the grass and dirt parking lot out there would have been a lot of fun. But now they have it at the Defense Center over by the community, or over by the county building, over by Lawnwood Park, Lawnwood Stadium, and all. So it was indoors, so they had the AC on, and
That made it a little
it
better.
was pretty nice. They were rolling them through there, man. It was like a factory. They had Lincoln Park Academy was in the morning, and then they cleaned it up, moved everything out, let us in for Fort Pierce Westwood, which is what's associated with the MOA Academy, and then after us was Port St. Lucie High School. So once they were done, they were like, all right, we need everybody to get out of here.
And off they went.
So off everybody
You're
went.
outta
So,
here.
yeah, you're out of here.
You're
You got
outta
your diploma? All right, scat. Skedaddle. But, yeah, so congratulations to all the kids that have graduated from high school.
Yes.
St. Lucie County, they said they won't officially have the numbers until later in the fall, but they were saying they were projecting a 95 to 96% graduation rate.
Which
So
is
that's pretty darn good. Yeah.
Yes, it's gotten a lot better.
That's a lot better than a few points higher than it's been in the past. So very good. Congratulations.
Yep. So my son too is
Yeah.
graduated, but not participating in his commencement activities. And I was just saying it's a little bit awkward, but he went to this school for his senior year primarily to play football.
Yeah.
And so it worked out really well football wise, but he was never quite connected, and
all his friends weren't there, and you don't make real close friends in a year. It takes
and he kind of just went in and did his thing. I mean, it's funny. He's never been to the cafeteria. Doesn't know where it's at.
that might be a good thing. Some of the cafeteria foods, not the greatest stuff in the world.
He had a short schedule because he was taking a class online, so he didn't have to be to school till 9. He was done at 1:40. And so, he had a routine. He'd get there a little late. He'd go check in the athletic. Coaches had couches in their offices. He'd kind of hang out there, go to his first class, come back, eat some lunch, hang out go back to football, work out, go take a class. Basically, he comes home. I mean, that's his schedule. So he never really kind of got into the school, unfortunately. But he did go to his Jensen Beach. His girlfriend goes to Jensen Beach. So they went to the they had a really nice.
So he got to see all his.
He got to see a lot of guys, and my son's not in. He wouldn't have been into it anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, he would have if Jensen. He would have gone and done it because he grew up with those people, but he wasn't that into it. So
I kind of did the same thing. I mean, I grew up into junior high school in Georgia in Warner Robins, and moved here 8th grade, and so I made a lot of new friends, but I still had a lot of my buddies that I hung out with in the neighborhood and everything else that graduated the same year I did. And, my parents at one point asked me, what do you want for your graduation? What do you want? I said, I want to go to Georgia and watch my buddies graduate if it falls.
Right.
And it happened to fall a few days after mine. So we went to Georgia and I got to watch
Well, that was kind
a
of cool.
lot of my buddies that I grew up with
Yeah.
graduate. So that was pretty cool.
That was part of. So that's how it worked out in our house, and he's excited, and I mean, obviously he's glad to get done with high school, like everybody is done, and now it's like get ready for what he's doing next year at football and college, and
Yeah. Now the real world hits you.
yeah, well, I don't know if he's in the real world yet. He's still kind of professional athlete oriented right now. It's like, should I go wake up and run the beach or should I go to the gym? It's like, hey, Dad, I just ate a dozen eggs. You got any more? So it's always more of, but he's a good kid, and he's
You better get him the unlimited meal plan at college.
well, hopefully, he ends up at one of these big college football schools where they actually pay him and he gets a lot of food. So that was kind of the goal. But so he'll figure his way out. But yes, congratulations to all the golfers, and I should say all the high school golfers too.
Yeah.
A lot of kids that I know, and
Yep.
and they're all excited about going and do their golf. And it's funny talking about high school and graduates. I train kids, right? And I've got some really good players that I work with. And one of the kids that I work with, they've been all coming into my golf studio because it's wet, right? They can't get any practice, right? So everybody's like, Coach, let me in. So I've been opening up and letting guys hit balls. But we're talking to one of my players, and he was telling me there was a young guy that played, locally at Jensen, and was a pretty good high school player. And then he went to school up in, like, I think he went to Iona College, got a scholarship, and he's like just tearing it up. Like, he's like one of the best players in the country. And, a couple of years ago, wasn't that, I mean, he's a good high school player, but it wasn't like winning everything, right? Mm-hmm. But it's just funny, you never know with any athlete, but, golf's especially, these kids, they go off to college and they get, 1 year of golf under their belt with a good coach and, regular practice and, basically full-time golf, not part-time like high school and play tournaments and mom and dad have to drive you. I mean, it's you get really good. So anyway, I thought that was kind of cool. That
a good chance to hone your game and
and actually that was something I always wanted to do, even with this show. And I was asking one of my players because he keeps track of guys because they're all his contemporaries, right? So he knows where everybody is more than I know. Mm-hmm. If they're not following me or interacting with me, I don't know where they are. If it's not a kid that I coached and I'm following them, because I'll log into college golf websites just to see how kids that I coached are doing. Mm-hmm. But if I didn't coach you, I'm probably not following you or checking in, right?
Yeah.
But I think that would be, like I know like locally the newspaper sports pages, they do a pretty good job of once in a while kind of like writing about where, like they call it, where are they now?
Yeah.
You see it like sometimes in sports page?
Yeah.
But there's so many good golf kids playing all over the country and we just lose track of them. And, we don't know if they even ever come back to the community. Everybody goes wherever now. But it'd be kind of cool to do something like that. So maybe we'll get some.
Kind of a follow-up, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of, I was just thinking of all the kids I was at Coach High School almost over a decade and thinking about all the players that have gone through my program and all the players that we've coached against. And, there's a lot of really good kids and, there's a lot and you just don't know where they are. It's kind of cool to find out where they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that was be kind of neat. So congratulations to all the graduates across the country too. Everybody is graduating.
A lot of it going on.
Yeah. The real world, right?
Yeah. A lot of hallmarks like in this.
Yeah. A lot of cards, a lot of dollars transitioning. So we're slated to take a ride. I think we're probably. We'll see how it looks. We're probably going to go this week, and we have to go up to South Carolina and look at my son's school, and hopefully that'll be fun and kind of get some things settled down. So
cool.
Anyway,
you'll get a little change of seasons up there.
Yeah, he'll be fine. I mean,
and when I was in high school, one of the guys I played football with got a scholarship at the University of Buffalo.
Oh, that'll.
And had never been out of the state of Florida in his life.
They say.
I said, Yancey, do you have any idea how cold it gets in Buffalo?
Did he?
He had no idea.
How cold
He
is
had
it?
no idea. And I saw him like a couple years into college. I saw him over a course of a summer. And he's like, "Oh my God!" He says, "What a shock!"
Yeah, it's cold.
He says, "I knew snow was kind of, he goes, I knew what snow was." He says, "But I didn't know what like 6, 8, 10, 12 feet of it was.
or 20 below, or
Right.
or pipes freeze.
Yeah.
Pipes freeze? Really?
Yeah, exactly.
Or,
yeah.
or roads. It's shut down today. I got to tell you, that to me is really scary. It's like, so if you're in that kind of environment and you lose power, if you don't have wood or you don't have a fireplace, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you could be in trouble. Yeah.
Fast, right?
Yeah. That's why you get so many wood burning
Appli-
stoves and fireplaces and all up there. Yeah.
And also, I didn't realize, but wood burning stoves give off a ton of heat in a house. I mean, like, I used to have this guy that I used to, he's a Canadian guy, and he used to sell me firewood, like for fire pit in the yard. And it was just somebody I knew over the years. His name was Renee, nice guy. And, once a year I'd call him up, and he's like, oh, yes, I've got wood. And I go up and grab it. And I was like, why do you have so much wood? Because I heat my home. He's still, even in Florida, when it gets a little cool, wood burning stove.
Right.
And he's from Canada, and wood burning. He goes, absolutely. Your house, I heat it with wood burning stoves. And how warm?
Got to
can
be a lot cheaper than running the furnace. I mean,
That's that's what he said, and he said they just
yeah.
get used to. But he said one wood burning stove can basically warm pretty much a house
Yeah,
on a floor.
Radiant heat. It's just
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and then upstairs, I guess they had the what do you call those? Not the heater, but the ones that look like, I don't know.
Radiator?
the radiators.
Radiators.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's what they use, radiators. Which I'm like, really? So, and they have electric blankets.
There's some
So you're
younger
talking
people
about-
out. There's some younger people out there listening right now, going, "Huh?
Yeah, what's
A
a
what?
radiator?
Radiator?
So what? I mean, radiator is basically
I thought
it just
that's in
gets
your
hot
car.
in the room, right? It just gets hot in your room.
Yeah.
It emits heat, right?
It radiates heat. So it's got fins on it. So it makes an entire area, depending upon the size of your radiator. It could make an entire. Our classrooms, when I was in school, were all radiators. Sure.
Yeah. When it's-
And they're pretty good sized classrooms.
So that's what kept you. Now we're talking like maybe keeps the room at 50 degrees
No.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
no. We're talking shirt sleeve weather.
Oh yeah.
in your rooms.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
It
So
could
you can
be-
get up in 60s and 70s with the radiator easy in
yeah.
a room.
Oh, easily.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. So I always think of it as being like, just get to 50 and everybody's fine because you're still walking around with shoes and jeans and a sweater, right?
No.
That's not true. Okay.
No, you can crank it up, make it as hot as you want.
Everybody's sitting around sweating. Why are you sweating? It's 12 degrees outside. Well,
Well, you start talking about a kid from Hawaii who's basically
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
came across and never, I've been in cold but never had to live in it. So
Yeah.
whenever I get in cold, it's always more of a novelty.
speaking of which, what's the news on
going on?
Hawaii?
Oh
there
man,
on,
it's not
it's crazy.
It's not good. Yeah,
Yeah.
they I usually talk to my parents. I talk to my dad a couple during the week, but I haven't talked to him really this week that much. But
We should have them call in one day.
it's all over the place. I mean, it's all over. The fear is that something big is going on.
yeah.
And it's not necessarily the island's going to blow up or people are going to cover it ash or we're talking about the end of world, but the sulfur in the smog or VOG they call it, the volcanic, is dangerous, right? So
Right.
it's starting to fall and kill plants. It can kill wildlife. It can start to get into the water system because Hawaii's all the water's beautiful. I mean, it's delicious, great drinking water.
Oh,
right?
it's some of the best water I've ever drank in my life.
It's unbelievable water, but it's all through the aquifers in the system and the runoff. So if that gets full with sulfur,
yeah.
right, and then now the water
What do you
supply is
drink?
contaminated.
Yeah.
So far so good. They haven't had any real major things happen. And the houses aren't built like my parents have a nice house.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big house, but there's no AC in it. Hawaii doesn't have AC.
Yeah.
Nobody. It's
Yeah.
all like.
If you're not in a hotel, your chances are you're not. Yeah,
No,
exactly.
and it's not because they can't put it in. They weren't designed that way, and it doesn't get hot like that. I mean, it might get hot during the day, but at night it cools down.
Yeah, you got the nice sea breeze there. Yeah,
Well,
ocean
actually,
breeze.
it's more mountain
Yeah.
because Hawaii elevates very quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, my parents, they live relatively close to the ocean, but they're probably up on a slope by 2,000-3,000 feet. you
Wow.
know. Well, the mountain's 13,000 feet.
Good night.
It's a big climb. So,
Yeah.
so they're doing fine, but a lot of people have been kind of asking and figuring out what's going on, but everybody's okay.
We figure we'll get the inside scoop from Arlen.
Did you see the picture, the Facebook picture with the The guy's playing. Remember, I always tell you about
Guy's playing golf, and behind him is
you
like
see
this
that?
big volcanic cloud. Yeah, I saw
It was
that.
like the most ominous looking thing that you ever saw. It's like this giant. There's these two guys, and they're teeing off at that course I always tell about,
Yeah.
the Volcano Club, which I really like. You know, I told you it's like one of my favorite places. And there's this picture, and these two local guys, Hawaii guys, are teeing off, and it looks like the end of the world is coming, like in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And they're playing golf.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
You're looking at the picture, going, "Turn around,
Yeah.
turn around and run."
It looks like something out of like Ghostbusters or any kind of like big budget, sci-fi movie when that glowing thing starts to just engulf a city and destroys everybody. And I was like, wow, who caught that picture? But that picture is all over the place. They published it.
Yeah.
I saw it on a bunch of different golf sites and some things. So I just thought that was but I guess well, I tease my parents because they always tease me about living in Florida. Oh, those hurricanes, and oh, you guys got those alligators, and I'm like, my dad's like, I go, where are you gonna go? Because they have some property in Arizona. I'm like, we're gonna go to Arizona. I'm like, yeah, we'll see how that works, Dad. It gets a little cold up there in those mountains. It gets a little cold up there.
That would be a shock moving from
Have them
Hawaii to Arizona.
Well, I don't think they move. They just talk about like, what do you do if it gets really bad and it's unsafe?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if you really are worried
you gotta
about
go somewhere. Yeah.
Got to
I mean,
relocate. Yeah.
some people can't, but if they can go, then
Yeah,
You
Jensen
just add an
Beach.
addition onto your house.
I
and,
got
you
4 bedrooms, but
There it is,
that
yeah.
would last about that would be great, right? Get my son off to school and Hawaii shows up like the Beverly Hillbillies.
I love it. We could have a new guest on the radio.
Oh, my dad would love this. He would think
See?
this is
Oh, Arlen's dad is a riot. He really is.
He is. Yeah, he would
Very good.
laugh. Yeah. Can you just imagine, right?
Right.
My wife, my wife would crack up. She would just be like,
Yeah, he could come on the show and talk story like they
"Oh,
say
he
in
would,
Hawaii.
yeah, he would." Oh, this would be, and that's what they would call it. Hey, what do you do? We just kind of talk story. It's like, you guys talk about golf? Yeah, a little bit. I'm going to use the word putter now. Just to cover, it is a golf show.
Yep.
Putting's very important, ladies and gentlemen. Pick a good line, get good speed, you'll be okay.
There you go.
So, anyway,
Oh, jeez.
Well, the PGA Tour has a new winner.
a new winner.
Another new winner. We've had a few of them this year.
A lot this year, it seems
And
like.
21 years old. I mean, he's barely old enough to drink. So he could barely, talk about a guy that might,
Isn't it amazing how many
just
young
a short
guys,
time ago
young
wouldn't have
guys
been
are
able to
winning?
really celebrate winning.
Right. Now he can. And they're young. There's so many good young players that are going to make their marks.
Yeah.
It's so neat to see.
Yeah. Aaron Wise, all of 21 years old, won the AT&T Byron Nelson this past weekend.
Another great tournament, historic tournament.
Yeah. Rain delayed, final round. Gee, rain, imagine that.
I know. We'll talk about ours in a little bit.
But, young man was originally from South Africa. Moved to the U.S. when he was 3 years old. Went to high school out in California. Won the 2016 NCAA championship as a University of Oregon sophomore.
So he's an Oregon Duck, huh?
And decided to
Probably like the rain.
Decided to leave school and
Turn
become
pro.
pro.
Good. So I guess he made a good decision.
So far, it looks pretty good. I mean, he's won on the Mackenzie Tour in Canada, won on the Web.com Tour, which is how he got his credentials to move up onto the big stage of the PGA Tour. Finished second just a couple months ago at the Wells Fargo Championship. So
There's a
obviously,
trend. There's
obviously
a
it
trend.
wasn't a one-hit wonder all of a sudden. He's got
there's-
some pedigree at
There's got to
playing
be
well.
There's always got to be a connection between those kids that come out and they have tremendous success in college, right? You win a national championship. I mean, you got to be a good player, and then you come out and you do make the stop, right? You win on a couple small. I mean, and look, Web.com is not small. I mean, to win their Mackenzie Tour, any of these bigger national mini tours, which are big, you can win. If you win on the Web.com, you can definitely win on the PGA Tour.
Oh, yeah.
Want to take a break?
Yeah, we'll take a break.
Okay, we'll be back a little bit.
220-9788 if you want to join us. WSTU Radio. We'll be right back.
130 yards now.
Bill's got a very tough lie here.
Looks like we have some sort of sea monster in the water hazard here.
I believe that's a kraken, Bruce.
It looks like he's going to go with the 9-iron. That may not be enough club.
Well, he's definitely going to lose a stroke on this hole. If you're
And welcome back to the Wednesday Night Golf Show, the Hump Day edition.
Hump Day, because it's Wednesday.
Wednesday, play on words. Oh, we are so good.
Oh, man.
So we should open up our show with, how to keep your golf game sharp when you get 5 straight days of rain in every golf course in.
Oh, yeah.
And even when it's not
100
raining like
miles.
today, they're so saturated. A lot of them.
Oh, you can't do anything.
Can't do anything on them.
Yeah, we've had a lot of rain.
How about
yeah.
how about the poor greens crews? I mean, out there. I mean, what do? They just sit in the clubhouse and just stare outside, right?
Well, actually, that's a good question.
Yeah.
There's and really what happens is you actually reach a point because the grass keeps growing, right?
Yeah, it's not taking
Even
a day
more
off.
so when it rains. Yeah.
Right. And after 3 or 4 days of rain, and you haven't been able to mow it to get back on a regular rotation so all those mowers, they have to change all the settings because you can't go just back out and cut it. It'll scalp it'll look terrible.
Right. It'll
So
kill it. Yeah.
You almost have to kind of change your settings and start cutting at
Leave
a
everything
higher
a little longer for a little while and gradually get it down.
till you get to where you get some of the moisture out of the grass, and then you can kind of get back down to a regular pattern. But golf courses don't look great, and a lot of public courses that maybe don't have their equipment maybe isn't as good, and they still cut a lot with gang mowers and different things where you start getting ruts, and those you can't heal. I mean, a rut turns into a rut.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more. That's why a lot of golfers who get upset because they don't let you take the carts out off the path, right? You're not supposed to drive, and the reason is because those tire treads and the ruts they create stay there. Yeah, you have to go fill it, and it's
You need a really big divot repair tool to pull it up and flatten it back out again.
in some places you can't. You
Yeah.
can destroy a golf course in
Nothing
people,
flat, yeah.
not getting out, and of course golf courses have to make money, so there's always that line between should we let out the carts, should we let people play?
Yeah. Do we let them walk and play? Do we make them
They always
keep the carts on the cart
They've
path?
always pushed the limit, though. I mean, they always are like, I always thought, but you gotta keep the lights on. So
Yeah.
but you push the limit too soon, and all of a sudden you get that one crazy guy out there, girl or guy, or whatever, but they're driving everywhere, and then the superintendent comes back and it's like the whole court, one golf cart
Oh yeah.
could
do a lot of damage. Yeah.
a lot of damage. So anyway, but again, we need rain. We always say that, but I think we have plenty.
Yeah.
You think we hit our quota?
I think the
Yeah,
quota is good.
I live in the subdivision just off of Green River Parkway, north
Yeah.
of Jensen Beach Boulevard. And
Good
we
drainage there, though,
and-
right?
Well, we have a large retention area that's on the south end of ours that kind of butts up against where Eagle Marsh is.
Right.
And
That's a large retention area.
even in the hurricanes, I've never seen it as full as I saw it this morning when I
It's like
when I was
almost
coming
to
to work.
like
This,
a little
it is-
nervous.
It instead of seeing like the mounds in between where they separate out some of the water areas, it's like one big long sheet of water right now. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all the way to the brim. It's like holy moly!
Like
There's
how
a
much more
whole-
could it take?
Yeah, I
before
don't think it'll fit any more in there.
Yeah.
Don't take much more, Captain.
No,
What's
can't
the-
take much more.
It's supposed to. I wonder if that. Well, didn't Eagle Marsh have that problem when they redid some construction? And remember that par
Yeah.
5 on the front
Yeah.
started to flood.
Yeah.
And then they fixed that. I'm wondering how that's doing, because that was a really bad thing for them.
That whole golf course usually gets pretty wet.
Well, it's Eagle
Basically in a wetland. Yeah.
Eagle Marsh.
Yeah. When you call it marsh,
Hence the name.
hence the name.
And have to live up to that
First,
reputation.
the first giveaway if you have a marsh course, but it's very dry. No,
Playing a lot of target golf right now.
target golf is what it is. I haven't been out there for a long time. I went and hit balls there a couple weeks ago. Shocker, right? And but they had a tournament, and it's not very far from where I live. It's almost across the street.
Yeah, it's
and,
right down the road. Yeah.
But just haven't had a chance. But I think the courses will look pretty.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the European Tour did something different this week.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought this up.
They're trying to broaden their fan appeal. They were in Belgium, another new tournament. Decided to scrap the 72-hole stroke play
Loved it.
norm for this, and it was called the Belgian Knockout.
Loved it.
144 entrants competing in 2-stroke play rounds, and then the low 64 advanced to a series of 9-hole
Matches.
Mono a mono stroke play matches
9 holes, which I thought was just so smart.
on the weekend. I mean, you get it out of the way real quick.
And they were it was that I think that'll catch on.
Yeah,
I do.
It's fascinating to watch. I mean, it's you talk about pressure. All right, you get to the weekend, but you might not be here for more than the next 2 hours on Saturday morning.
The knockout's a great name for it. Knockout in a lot of sports are really fun games. I thought that was whoever came up with that was brilliant.
Yeah,
I didn't see who won. Did it say
Adrian Otegui?
Otegui.
Otaegui. 25-year-olds from Spain.
A spin.
Yo, Adrian.
No, not quite, but close.
He won Sunday's finale, defeating France's Benjamin Hebert. So I could get his name right. Yeah. Event came on the heels of Golf Sixes, which is a tournament in England which featured 6-hole matches. A bunch of female competitors served as a prelude to the Shot Clock Masters in Austria next month, where the players will be timed on every shot. And I'm interested to see just how that's going to work, because I think the longer you take to hit the shot, the less it's worth or something. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to do this, but it should be interesting. Try to speed up play.
What they're trying to do is they're trying to create more appeal for golf and put players in situations that aren't comfortable.
Yeah.
And that makes for interesting conversation. It makes for interesting scores. Now, in the purest sense, is it as pure as 18-hole match play? No. Is it ever gonna? But for TV and because like the knockout format, it solves the problem with televised golf and match play, right?
Yeah.
So you don't end up with that match where it's a blowout and it's over and nobody tunes in,
watches,
but you still you got all this time that you got to fill.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was brilliant because they start them on different nines, right? They were using 4 nines, right?
Yep.
And they would play the match and they would get knocked out and the people would keep going, and then it created a morning knockout and they created an afternoon knockout, and they were playing. Were they playing 18 or 36 a day though?
They were playing what was it? Was 64? So then you play 64, drop down to 32, drop down to 16, drop down to 8, 4.
So the last
and then
day
2. So you'd have basically 6 matches of 9 holes. So
so it's 1, 2.
That's 54 holes.
Yeah.
So you'd almost have to play
more than 18 holes to get it done.
More than 18 holes in a day to get it done. Yeah.
Right.
You'd have to play, probably 27 one day and then 27 the next day to get it all in. So you'd have 3 9-hole matches.
Yeah.
That you'd have to
and
win
again,
each day.
you're not all playing, like sometimes, now I didn't really follow like the matches, but there must have been some that played more than 9, they're tied.
Yeah, they're tied, yeah.
You have to have a breaker to it or something, but I think that's cool. And
it wasn't match play, it was stroke play. So you still, even if you were down 3 or 4 shots going into the last hole,
you could make it up if somebody blew
the guy
up.
did a John Vandevelde, you might beat him.
Poor Jean. Poor Vandevelde. He's sitting someplace just still mad.
His ears just started ringing somewhere.
It's so bad. I watched that. I was there and I watched it and I felt his pain. And I don't think I've done that myself, but I've been close. But not on that stage. But that was still, I can still see the one shot where he's just looking like, I can't believe I just did that.
Yeah, where did that come from?
What was I thinking? Why am I in this pond? Why am I in the stream? Why do I not have my shoes on?
Why do I have my shoes off and my pants rolled up and I'm standing here going, whoa, wait a minute, how did I get here?
I was going to win the Open. It's like, crushing hurts me. I can still feel the pain.
Oh man. Let's see. Oh, and another Spaniard, one of my favorite guys.
Oh boy, who are we going?
Miguel Angel Jimenez.
Oh, you gotta love him.
Won his first senior major, the region's tradition in Alabama.
That's only his first major first senior.
Only his first senior major. Yeah.
Senior major, right?
Yeah,
right.
Senior
Okay,
major,
gotcha.
Yep. As you might expect, he suggested evening cocktails, wine, and cigars. For the winning celebration afterwards.
Now we have to fill in case people are listening. They don't know who he is.
Yeah.
We should tell them. I mean, go ahead. You tell him a little bit, and I'll tell him a little bit.
Well, he's if you've ever watched, he's the guy with the ponytail.
The big ponytail.
Big ponytail. Walks around, usually smoking a cigar on the golf course
The whole time.
and loves to drink his wine.
Loves his wine.
And if you, I've heard from some people that say if you ever play in a senior pro-am,
You want him.
you want him. He has basically said, "This is your day. This is their day. I'm here for them today. They're here to play with me, play a round of golf with me, and have a good time." And he brings everybody a bottle of wine, a box of cigars. I mean, he's out there to show you a good time. He's there to entertain you for the 4.5, 5 hours you're out there playing in a pro-am.
And that's what makes him such an
So
interesting,
popular, yeah.
popular,
And,
interesting. And he doesn't practice, right?
Not very much at
Yeah,
all.
He has this incredible. If you're listening, go search him and look for his stretching videos. They will crack you up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because he's got this routine that every time I watch it, I just like. And he's
if you ever get a chance to watch him warm up before his round, you got to see it.
and he's dead serious.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep waiting for him to laugh and do a little dance. I mean, this is what he does, right?
yeah.
And he's very limber in those exercises, but it's almost comical to watch. He doesn't practice a lot. He's still, he's like that throwback guy from the 1950s when golfers weren't physically fit. And
Yeah, they didn't hit the fitness trailer before and after their round.
I don't think, he's not like fit looking. I mean, I wouldn't classify him as fit even for a senior, right? Because he still kind of looks just like. If you saw him in the store, you'd think like, wow, what do you?
You would not think he's a professional golfer.
Oh, no.
I mean, no. He's got a little bit of a punch. He's got a little gut
belly.
going.
Yeah, he got a little
But
belly.
that's all the wine.
But wow, and he won. I did get to when I did get to go to watch the Masters a couple years ago. He was in the field, and I did follow him because I think he's interesting, right? Mm-hmm. And he just plays golf like I don't think he cares. Like he just plays and hits it, and he hits it solid. I mean, his swing isn't. I mean, just kind of picks it up and fires.
Yeah,
and works.
it works.
So he won. So what major? I forgot what major was.
The Region's Tradition.
The Region's Tradition. So that's just one of their three they consider. It's part of like
there's
three or four.
Yeah,
So that's a major for them.
that is one of their majors. Yeah.
So congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations to him.
Yeah. So Senior Tour Rebirth. That's a guy I wouldn't mind going watching him play.
Yeah. Speaking of pro-ams, Tiger Woods is committed to play in the Memorial Tournament.
Wow.
Guess who is going to be in his pro-am group on Wednesday for the Memorial?
Is this a trick question? Is this a loaded question?
No. Tiger Woods is probably one of the greatest golfers to ever play.
Right.
Who would you consider one of the greatest quarterbacks to play football?
Wow. Tom Brady.
No, not Tom. But he's a rival of Tom's and was up until he retired just a few years ago.
So he's going to play with Tony Romo?
He's going to play with Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, I think Frank had it. Frank was going, ooh.
You knew what it was, Frank? You had the answer?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you were.
I was thinking it was the quarterback that played for
I guess you can't
the
put
Packers.
Brett Favre.
Brett
Oh,
Favre.
Favre.
He doesn't play golf.
No. Aaron Rodgers plays golf.
Yeah.
Tony.
Yeah.
The only reason I thought Tony Romo, which I
so
don't think,
good, yeah.
he's so good at golf, and I didn't think,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
that
consider
was
him
a good guess, actually.
He's not
yeah.
I wouldn't put him in all-time status, but he is a good golfer.
Yeah.
Very good golfer. And so, that'll be interesting. Peyton Manning, Tiger Woods, and wonder was that done just for because they're promoting the tournament, or like was that just happens to be who's playing with Tiger?
I'm sure they didn't just pull Peyton's name out of a hat and put him with
Right.
He just happened to get Tiger Woods, but
Yeah.
it was probably one of those they froze the envelope like they did
Yeah,
in the
we'll put
NBA
Peyton with Tiger.
lottery
That'll be a
few
lot
years
of fun.
ago.
Payne's got a couple dollars floating around. He's used some of his pizza money.
Yeah, there you go.
Like,
He sold all of those. Did you
That's
hear
why I
that?
said, yeah. So
Yeah.
he got a little pizza money.
Yeah, he's got a little pizza money.
Hey, you got some pizza, Payne Manning. He's done okay.
Steph Curry, basketball player for the
Another great golfer.
Golden State Warriors, is going to host a PGA Tour event next year.
Really?
Yep, he's in talks right now to host a PGA Tour event in the fall of 2019.
Steph Curry's going to have his own event. It's going to do a little Justin Timberlake
Should
action.
be
on it.
interesting. It'll be interesting, especially if it more than likely it'll fall. If it's going to be in the fall, there's a good chance it's probably going to fall during basketball season, or maybe right preseason, just before the season starts.
No, well,
So
for him, early is okay.
yeah,
I think that team right now, it's like let's just get to the playoffs and let's put it together.
yeah, exactly.
Speaking of, I haven't been watching my NBA playoffs like I normally do because my wife and I are watching a really good series of Turkish
Curling or something?
No, it's like a series of it's like a Turkish history of Ottoman Empire, and it's just really cool. And so
That's
we're
neat
kind
stuff.
of
I love that stuff.
we're so addicted to it. But the NBA finals are tied 2-2.
Yeah,
Both
yeah,
sides.
both conference
Houston
finals,
just
yeah.
won, and Cleveland went 1-2. And I just mentioned Steph Curry, but a lot of people don't know. I mean, Steph Curry's like really good at golf, like exceptionally good. And I would say Steph Curry is the best NBA basketball player, golfer, I think, ever.
Very well could be.
Can you pick one? I can't.
I can't think of anybody else.
No. I know a lot of
I
them.
know Shaquille O'Neal doesn't play.
Wow.
And I know that Charles Barkley is probably not very high on the list of accomplished golfers.
I can
period.
help. I can help Charles Barkley. I have something that Charles Barkley has to do, and we're gonna find out because when Michael Jordan opens his course,
he'll be here
a lot, and I'm gonna find that connection. You watch.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be cool. We're not gonna make a big deal about it, but if I get to do it, I have a drill for Charles Barkley. So I might. So let's just do this.
Hank Haney couldn't even fix him, so this could be really good.
I think I have something that Hank Haney would like to know about.
Well, cool.
And it's my own thing. But I'm saying this. So I'm saying this on my Facebook Live because I'm going to cut this out and I'm going to edit it.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this on our camera
Yeah.
because I'll take this off our show.
Yeah.
And we should put out, Charles, if you're listening, there's a
You want to take
big
a little?
there's a big pineapple in Florida that used to play a little
money,
ball.
You want to take a little money from number 23? We'll
Come see me.
We'll show you how.
We'll do it in private. Don't make a big thing, but I got to move for you. I think I got something. I think some of the stuff that Hank did messed him up more.
Messed him up more.
Well, Charles is not technical, right?
No,
That's
he's
the
not.
problem with him.
Yeah.
So if you teach him technically, you have to teach him like a basketball player. Like, I think I could explain the golf game to him like a layup, like a mid-range jumper.
Or a 3-point shot.
Yeah, the swing is broken down that way.
Okay.
All of his hesitation and movement is anxiety, fear. It's just, I hate to use the word fear, but it's something in him. He's just worried about too much.
Yeah.
He just has to learn to let go, right? And I think there's some stuff I could help him with. So that's I've always thought I could do that, but I'm sure golf pros say that all the time, but I'd love to do that.
Very good. So the Supreme Court lifts their federal sports betting ban. So now legal wagering on golf, among other sports, could soon be the norm in a lot of states. Would you like to see golf betting in the state of Florida?
Well, my dad and I were talking about this on our last phone call in Hawaii between lava flows and world calamities, but I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I participate in, like, I do DraftKings in with football, and I love it. I think it's a really fun. I've looked at golf on DraftKings. I've tried to. Very difficult. It feels like it's more luck than anything.
Oh yeah.
So, as far as, for the average guy, and I'm not that avid with it, but I enjoy the intensity you get when you follow sports, and I like the statistical analysts, looking at it. I enjoy that. So I guess as long as if it helps communities, like it turns into good stuff, and there's not a lot of bad influence to it. I mean, I just don't know how it's all going to roll out.
Oh yeah. I mean, I witnessed a lot of gambling in the stands down at the Honda. I mean, there were guys sitting near me when I was sitting down for a little while watching the 17th hole.
It's betting on players coming through.
And 3 guys would come through, and they'd be like, "All right,
he's going to hit it here."
3 guys would like, "Okay, who's hitting it closest?" Okay, you get your guy finished last out of the last, so you get first pick out of this group, and the guy, "All right, I'll take Furyk," and the guy, "All right, I'll take Sergio," and the last guy gets whoever's left in the group.
Right.
And then they all bet
yeah,
a few bucks, $5 maybe, or
they
whatever
lose,
it was.
and they pay it off, and they just keep going.
And whoever get close, all right, well, exchange some money. All right, now the next group comes through, and they do the same thing.
Right.
So
I think. Well, we're already doing it.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It's not like all of a sudden the whole world's going to bet on sports. Guess what?
Yeah.
The people bet on sports are betting on sports.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more of them than you realize.
Yeah.
So
well, those are the same people that were betting on the royal wedding, like what color the queen was going to wear.
You think it's the same person?
I don't think so.
It's a bunch of-
But it just gives you an idea what people will bet on. They'll
It's
bet on darn near
like
anything.
you remember when poker on TV was so popular. I mean, you couldn't get enough of the world
Oh yeah,
poker.
that Texas Hold'em poker
Texas
was
Hold'em
like
tour
crazy.
and all these guys became, the Phil Ivies and this. I mean, I knew everybody, and they all started to become. I don't know if you knew, but they all became these massive golf gamblers. Like
Oh wow,
like massive.
I did not know.
Because they're addicted. They're gamblers.
Yeah.
They
got to find something. They got to have some skin and everything.
Yeah, but the skin that those guys are, when you're winning millions on poker tours, they're playing golf for 50 grand, 100 grand, and they weren't very good, which was the funny part. So it was always more about the odds making or the bet,
Yeah.
because they knew they weren't very good. But I heard some stories where those guys were like playing crazy numbers in golf. So, so when does the Supreme Court thing? We're in effect with that?
Well, they dropped it. Now it's up to the states. The states themselves can adopt it whether they want to or not. I mean, Vegas has already
The example,
gotten in on this,
right?
and part of it's because I forget what's coming. There's something big coming up. Well, they've got the anyway. But New Jersey's big on getting it legalized right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to push legislation through so that they can have legalized sports betting
But-
throughout New Jersey, not just in
So
Atlantic
sports,
City.
I thought that. Oh yeah, not just in Atlantic
Yeah.
City. So
Yeah.
what are we going to see? Like local neighborhood sports, like what you would traditionally call a bookie. They would have like
Yeah.
establishments, and you could
maybe
place your
now,
bet.
you go in now and you buy a lottery ticket. Maybe you could go in and say, I want to bet on the Phillies Braves game tonight.
Interesting.
And they punch that into the computer and you get your slip. And
Now that's a
off
whole
they go.
nother angle to it. So if you can the Florida Lottery now presents legalized betting.
yeah, legalized sports betting.
Yeah, pick that thing and punch it on, and have at it.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah. We got a caller coming in. Is that what we have? It's our first bet. Let's bet
Yeah, really.
whether or not that's going to be our caller.
Yeah.
That is interesting. But we'll see how. I guess we'll just see how it comes up. I don't know how much it's going to affect golf, but I think the online guys have that thing locked in pretty
Yeah.
much too.
You talked about Peyton Manning playing with Tiger Woods in the Pro-Am.
There'll be a few dollars there
Yeah.
going.
John Elway has entered the Colorado Senior Open.
He's always been a good golfer.
He's
too.
a pretty good golfer.
Yeah, he's a low handicapper.
Yeah, he's another low-handing. Yeah, you watch, what is it, that one event they have in Lake Tahoe every year?
Yeah,
where you watch a lot of the celebrities and the pros and stuff.
Yeah, at Edgewood. Yeah, it's been
you
there
see,
forever.
You always see him. You see John Smoltz is usually there.
Romo's
in
been
the
played
mix.
well there.
Romo's played well there.
Curry's played well there.
Curry, Mark Rippon.
Yep.
Wasn't a great quarterback, but it's pretty good
golfer.
golfer.
Yeah, right.
On that little.
And
on
he used
that
to
tour.
be. He doesn't. But Raleigh Fingers dominated that too.
Well, Raleigh Fingers was
a really good
and
golfer.
He kept that
That
mustache.
little
I love
pencil,
that.
yeah. But he did well in that tournament. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Be interesting. You talk about matches for TV. Like you were talking. Like, wouldn't it be cool to kind of like team some of these guys up in matches on TV? I mean, I wouldn't mind watching Tony Romo play, John Smoltz or something like that. In a match. Like the old Shells.
I love Shells.
events.
I love Shells Wonderful
I mean,
World of Golf.
instead
I
of getting
think those are great.
pro golfers, I think it would be kind of neat to get
Pro athletes that play golf.
darn near scratch pro athletes and let
Yeah.
them play. It would be interesting.
It might be, yeah. I think there could be some interest in that. Yeah. I think that the pro game, if I actually use Shell's Wonderful World of Golf as a training tool in instruction, because I tell players all the time, go back and watch those, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, most par fours were 375 yards. 350, 375. Sam Snead's hitting 2-wood, 7-iron.
Yeah.
That's kind of how golf was played, right?
Yeah.
Good drive. And then I always tell amateur players that I coach or I'm helping with their golf game, I said, if you hit a good drive on a hole and you don't have a 7-iron in your hand,
Mm-hmm.
you're playing the wrong set of tees.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and you play, but how many holes
Yeah.
do you play where you hit your driver well and you get 7. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Not as many as it should, right?
Yeah, not as many. Yeah, not as many as you hope. Yeah.
And it's because, but go back and look at Shell's Wonderful World of Golf. Those are the best players in the world. Now they're playing wood, and everything wasn't what it is today. But still, 350 was most par 4s back then.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't get too many 350 par 4s anymore.
No, they're drivable for him. It's most for some of these guys now.
But for the average, but that's the problem is
Yeah.
like because they're drivable for the tour guys with the equipment and the way they train and all that stuff. Then the rest of us or the amateur player they think, oh, I got to play those tees too. And I'm telling you, if you hit a good drive and you get a 7-iron all day, you're going to enjoy your golf like way more.
Oh yeah.
And I coach that way. I coach all my players. I mean I believe that you need to hit your tee shot to put you in a zone.
Yeah.
That's just as important as a green.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think of where their tee shot puts them. They just blast it and then take what they get, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't always work well for a lot of players.
My late friend Charles Ankrum, who was a golf course architect, designed several golf courses around here. Did the redesign on Yacht and Country Club. Designed.
He did a lot. Ankrum did a
designed
lot
the two
of
courses out at Martin Downs.
Yeah.
He always designed from the green back to the tee. And he says, you set the green, you come back to the 150-yard marker. That's where you want the majority of people to land.
Yes.
Somewhere within 20 yards on either side of that 150 marker.
Yep.
He says that's where you want the angle to be best into the green, coming from that marker. He says, and then from there you went back distances that
made sense.
That made sense for the people that were playing. Now, obviously, the scratch golfers, the pros, are going to hit it a lot further. So from there, you would maybe push their tee back, 270 yards or so.
Right.
And then you would pull up, 20 or 30 yards from there, and then, 20 yards from there, and to build your tees so that everybody would kind of tend to hit their ball in about the same area of the fairway.
Right.
If they hit a good drive for them.
That should be how it was designed.
That's the way, the course, the way he designed a lot of his courses.
I would agree 100%. And I think that a lot of people have such high handicaps. Yeah. Because they just don't generate enough speed, and I say this to, some of my senior players, and I see like some of like a lot of the lady players that I work with, like, gosh, they're hitting tee shots like 130 yards, 140 yards, and you're paying 300-yard holes.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you get? You're going
Everything's
driver?
A par 5.
Yeah, it's not fair. Yeah. So, 7-iron should go, 70, 80 yards for that swing speed. Yeah. So most you should ever play is 200 yards.
Yeah.
And, I think people would enjoy golf. I think their scores would be better. Yeah. I think the handicap system kind of ruined that whole thing because they rather just be, I'm a 30-something handicapper. Yeah. So,
the speaking of your older players, Ben Bender firmly believes in a higher power. The 93-year-old Ohio man announced that he was playing his final round of golf, wanted one more round of golf before he quit playing golf. 93 years old.
93 years old.
Goes out and gets a hole-in-one.
No kidding.
He says, the Lord knew this was my last round, so he gave me a hole-in-one.
That's a pretty good story. That should be.
I love that story.
93 years old, so he in his swan song. What a great way to end your golf career.
Yeah, gives me something to live for, right? Yeah, work towards.
Talk about dropping the mic and walking away. I just dropped the club on the. I'll meet you guys in the 19th hole. I'm done.
Bender out.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and you mentioned tees. Playing from the correct set of tees. Well, a dozen high school players were DQ'd from an Oregon State tournament. They played a hole from the wrong set of tees. And apparently an official advised them on which tees to use.
No excuse.
Big controversy there.
Big controversy in Oregon. I guess their
state ruling body
said, sorry, you're out of luck.
That's gonna haunt those people for a long time. Hopefully we don't have that happen in Florida.
Exactly. We got enough other stuff happens in Florida.
Yes. Well, is that it for us? Are we done
again? Well, folks, have a great Memorial weekend. Take a moment to remember why we have this weekend.
Absolutely.
And
see you next week.
Just try to stay dry.
Yeah.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
All right. Tell your dad good luck there.